This is the most listened to financial show in the Metroplex, the Wall Street Shuffle.
So tell me who's that riding, John the Revelator. Tell me who's that riding, John the Revelator. Who's that riding, John the Revelator. Wrote the book of the Seven Seals.
You know, I'm just giving Shane a hard time for the music, and finally you're dipping into my bailiwick of music, not yours. I like that. Thank you very much. Perfect for Gerald, too. Absolutely the perfect music to lead into my friend Gerald Celente. Everybody knows Gerald Celente. If you don't know him, I don't know what you're reading out there. I don't know what you're listening to. You must think that when the government talks about green shoots coming up, you must believe that stuff because you're not even taking the time to explore the other side of the financial, the economic, the political world that says it's just not true. Everybody knows Gerald Celente, the world's #1 trends forecaster. The best quote I know is when CNN headline, our own network right here, says when CNN wants to know about the top trends, they ask Gerald Celente. You can't do much better than that, Gerald.
Oh, thanks, Dan.
Well, it's great to have you on. I have to tell you, I asked you to come on specifically today because we have so many friends of the show that have said they've heard you before and we don't have you on enough. So since we kind of sort of are on the same page on a lot of things, a lot of these folks that are listening to us are also listening to you. And they're hearing you say that the end of this year, end of 2010, roughly, is potentially a very cataclysmic time for us. Now, I think we've got I don't think we're going to run into the end of the world as we know it, but they're going to be tough times. But a lot of folks are saying, gee whiz, do I need to change the way I act, I live, treat my family, the way I invest? Do I need to do what Gerald says because Gerald's right at the end of the year? Tell me what you believe the world is going to look like on December 31st of this year.
I believe that by the time the clock strikes 2011, everyone will have known there was no recovery, and that we're moving into much worse times, nothing less than a greatest depression. There's been no recovery. This has just been a cover-up with stimulus money. And I was listening to one of the ads before and about China real estate.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the Chinese government is buying up most of the real estate. They're funding it through the auctions. There's massive overcapacity in virtually every area of manufacturing. They have 1.3 billion people and 1 million problems, and people better get this straight in their head. The whole capitalistic game is brand new to China. They're not the geniuses that everybody's making them out to be. And they're going to be facing very difficult times because consumption worldwide is going to decrease. You start looking behind these numbers, for example, with the auto sales. They're giving cars away. They're doing anything they can to sell a car and sell it to anyone. Yeah, the numbers are going up. And let's remember also that in President Obama's great financial reform package, and I use that word great sarcastically, the auto industry was eliminated from being watched over because they're doing some really deals that are questionable that are suckering in a lot of people to buy things that they can't afford. And then we look at the real estate market, and we've seen how it's declined since those generous tax breaks have been pulled away. And if people are listening, they have to understand what they're watching. And this is nothing more than the presidential reality show. And I can't make this stuff up. I saw President Obama, and I only have to do this stuff because of my work, things that I hate to do. And one of them was to watch The View last week, to watch Obama on it.
Yeah.
You want to talk about cheap theater. Here we have our men and women giving their lives, being maimed and murdered overseas, people losing their homes, can't find jobs that have lost them, kids getting out of school with worthless pieces of paper called diplomas, and they're $100,000 in debt, and they're asking questions. Do you know what happened to Lindsay Lohan? Do you know who Snooki is?
Oh yeah. It was
disgusting.
It was shameless.
How could any man sit there and act like that? No man that I know. I couldn't imagine Eisenhower there. This is terrible. It's a disgrace. And he's not alone, by the way. I could go back to the Bush years, to Clinton years, and just keep rolling the carpet back.
With virtually both sides of the aisle right now, Republicans and Democrats, right now I would be happy if one side, the Republicans, would just stand up and say, no, I don't need them to give me a solution. I need them to stop agreeing, and I need the Democrats to stop changing things. Just stop changing.
No more laws. We have enough.
That's it. Just
enough laws.
Yeah, give me a year without laws, and let's just see how. Yeah, let's just see how this works out. Hey, let me go back to the forecasting thing, because you and I have a complete agreement in the direction we're headed and the severity of the problem. We differ a little bit on time. I will say some interesting things though that I've done a little research on. The S&P 500. Everybody says, oh, well, the things have grown. Look how things are great. Do you know the revenue for the S&P 500 in 2010 is the same as it was in 1998? Now, that's unadjusted for inflation. That means the different companies in the S&P 500 now, but the revenues are the same 10 years later. You talk about a lost decade for the Japanese, the 2 decades. The America has lost more than this decade because inflation, adjusted for inflation, people can't even see the damage that they're already dealing with.
Exactly. Matter of fact, the Summit Trends Journal, which I'm sure they sent you a copy of, that's exactly what we wrote about. And had you invested in gold compared to that the lines that they fed after the stocks crashed in 2000, stay in for the long term. What's the Nasdaq worth now?
Oh yeah.
What is it around? What 2000 what?
23. Hang on, that's it. You caught me a little off guard here. Hold on, I'm going to have it for you in 2 seconds. Nasdaq is he says confidently. call it 2,300, 22.95.
22, and what was it when it crashed?
Well, let's say it got as high, remember, in 2000 as 5,000.
5,000.
Yep.
Exactly. There is no recovery. And we may be wrong. The timing is always difficult. There's no question about it. There are so many wild cards, and they come up with schemes undreamed of. Who would have thought we'd be owning AIG, the Freddie and Fannie, on and on. And by the way, the people that are saying that this is socialism are wrong. Socialism is a distribution of wealth across the board. The merger of state and corporate powers, opined Mussolini, is called fascism.
That's right.
And fascism has come to America. We're being forced to buy insurance from private insurance companies. How can you make this up?
Well, here, let's just take one of my recent favorite examples. I'm a car junkie. I look at this stupid car, the Chevy Volt. $42,000 list price. If it was worth $42,000, then why are we as taxpayers subsidizing every one of these cars to the tune of $7,500? What and where's the this is insanity.
It is insanity. They're robbing us blind. And that's why we're going to see the Second American Revolution. It's underway. And matter of fact, we wrote about it in autumn of 2009, and just this past week in Investors.com, will Washington's failures lead to Second American Revolution? So people are starting to catch on. So what we're saying, yes, people should be preparing for the worst. Look, gold prices have softened recently. I'm still a firm believer of gold 2000.
Sure.
I'm not recommending people buy anything. I'm saying that's what I believe.
Same here.
I still buy Swiss francs because, to me, the Swiss are the money cockroaches of the world. They're not going anywhere.
Don't hold back, Gerald. Learn to open up more, brother.
And so those are the things that I believe in. And by the way, there are solutions. We don't have to build one more thing in this country. There's plenty in this country to rejuvenate. I just came back from a fact-finding trip driving around different places for purposes. And there are beautiful old buildings in decaying areas and thriving areas as well. So this could be a time for a new Homestead Act. You could buy things for almost nothing. Get your special and amazing children who graduated college with those diplomas that aren't worth anything, and they're $100,000 in debt. Get them out of the house and get them to refurbish one of these things and make it on their own.
Well, get a free house in Detroit. You can get virtually every house in Detroit is free right now.
Building the communities. with like-minded people.
Yep.
This country needs a renaissance, and everything in the infrastructure is in place for it to happen. So there's a lot of positive things that people could take advantage of.
Gerald, I got 2 minutes. I got to get one big question. I have so many investors that ask me. They say, "Well, gee whiz, if you're concerned, why shouldn't we get out of the market right now?" There's two things that concern me. One, staying in the market and exposing your retirement to the potential nationalization by the government, which I think is a very real possibility.